If we think about Victorian murderesses, probably the first people who come to mind are the baby farmers, women like Amelia Dyer or Margaret Waters, who between them murdered dozens of children. Or perhaps we think of Mary Ann Cotton, the Dark Angel, who murdered so many members of her own family that it's almost impossible to keep count. These women might have been evil or deranged, but they were not the only murderesses in Victorian England. There were many more whose lives were so tragic that you wonder, were they the victims or the culprits? One such woman was Rebecca Small, a market gardener's daughter who in 1821 married a labourer, Philip Smith. Smith spent most of his meagre income on drink, and when drunk he repeatedly abused his wife, and it was probably against her will that over 3 decades she bore him 10 children. Pitiful financial situation might have been eased when Rebecca's father died, leaving her a relatively large sum of money. But Philip squandered the whole amount, and by the time of the birth of their youngest child, Richard, in 1849, the family was virtually destitute. Rebecca, an inoffensive and industrious woman, was drained, ill and exhausted, and although Richard was a healthy baby, she repeatedly sighed to her neighbours that he was dying. The neighbours became very disconcerted when she asked them to help her buy arsenic, and when Richard died soon afterwards, they reported their suspicions to the coroner. A post-mortem revealed that the baby had been poisoned, and Rebecca was arrested and charged with his murder. While awaiting trial in Devizes, she not only admitted killing Richard, but also confessed to poisoning 8 of her other children by letting them suck arsenic from her finger. When the horrified prison chaplain asked what had possessed her to behave so fiendishly, she replied that she wanted to save them from destitution. By the time that Richard was born, she added, she was convinced that she was dying, and she dreaded the thought of leaving him with his brutal father. Crowds from miles around turned out to watch her sad execution, which took place in Devizes on the 23rd of August. This was the last time that a woman was hanged in Britain for infanticide. Rebecca's story, along with those of 80 other women, is included in my new book, Murderesses in Victorian Britain. The book not only contains the stories of approximately 80 women who murdered their employers, their husbands, their babies, or even strangers, but also includes a little of the background of the legal processes of the era, attitudes towards capital punishment, and women in general. Murderesses in Victorian Britain is available in Kindle format or in paperback, and you can find links to it in the description below. Thank you very much for listening.